So if you're somebody that's looking to get into this whole content creation thing, you're probably wondering how people do all these crazy effects, one of which being slow-mo. Most cameras, phones, whatever it is that you're using has the ability to control certain settings. You're gonna wanna pay attention to the numbers that look like this. So this right here is called your shutter speed. I want you to remember that. The other thing is that I want you to find your frame rate. Now, I can't speak for all camera settings, but you're gonna have to do a little bit of Google research just to find your frame rate. It sometimes looks like this right here, where it has a 24p, 25p, 60p, 30p, whatever. You're gonna want to choose 60p or 60 frames per second. You could do this with 30, but to really give the effect of slow-mo, I would suggest doing 60p. Now, whether your camera does 4K or 1080, that doesn't really matter right now. We're not gonna be worried about that. Remember that thing called shutter speed? That number with the little dash in the middle? Yeah, okay, so that right there. So we're gonna change that to 1/125 or 124, depending on what your camera is. There's this little thing called the 180-degree rule. I'm not too well versed on explaining it, but basically what I do is I multiply my frame rate times 2. So 60 times 2 is 120, but the closest thing to it is 125 on my Sony camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. You choose the closest thing that's on your camera. It could be 124, could be 125, whatever it is, just choose the closest one. We have our frame rate and we have our shutter speed. We're not gonna get into exposure or anything like that. I just wanna stick with slow motion. So after you choose your slow motion options, go outside or shoot whatever is inside that's moving. It could be your fan, it could be your kids running around, they have the zoomies. It could just be a car that's driving by your front yard. Whatever it is, go ahead and shoot it. But if you already have the basics down in editing, all you're gonna wanna do is go to your timeline. You have different options to slow down your footage. I personally use Final Cut Pro, so you can slow it down a certain percentage. I'm pretty sure you can do that in Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve. And 60 frames per second can actually be slowed down to 40%, but for this case, we can just use 50 and you'll still see that the motion, you'll still see that everything is in slow motion. If you set your shutter speed too low or too high, you'll be able to see the difference. That's why we don't stick with the same shutter speed. Now, I know this isn't really too in-depth, but I definitely want to remake this video later on to have the details down for you to further explain how it works. But at least this right here, take this, apply it to your phone, apply it to whatever camera you're using, and try it out. I do want to give you a disclaimer though. A lot of cameras that were made like in the early 2010s or even earlier than that may not have those frame rates you're looking for. In that case, your phone more than likely does have it, but that's just the disclaimer. Your camera may or may not have the frame rates to be able to do this. That's going to be it for me and my first video on this channel. I hope this helps you. See you in the next video.